It is so good to be back in the saddle. Well, not really the saddle, more like on the milking stool. I don't have a saddle because I don't have a horse, but I would love to have a horse someday. For now, I will just be happy that my cow is in milk and I can milk every morning. So today, we're going to be doing a little bit of that. I'm going to show you a Christmas thrift haul. We're going to do a little baking, talk a little bit about gut health, just kind of cover all of our bases. It has been truly so wonderful to have a good reason to get up early in the morning, get dressed, and get outside. I mean, I always get up and get dressed and kind of get going with my day in the morning, but having a milk cow means that you have to get outside. It's not a choice. My Jersey Sally just had her calf last week, so as of right now, it's not urgent that I get down and milk first thing in the morning because the calf is still with her 24/7, nursing around the clock. Now, when the calf is a couple of weeks old, so probably a week from now, we will start separating the calf at night. That will allow her to really fill up overnight, and then I'll milk her first thing in the morning, and then the calf will spend all day with her. This is not harmful to the calf by any means. Dairy breeds produce an excess of milk, so that even when the calf is with them 24/7, I can still go out and milk and get close to a gallon. But separating overnight allows me to get more milk, and more importantly, to me at least, it allows me to get quite a bit of cream that can then be made into butter, sour cream, lots of things. And this is really the way that I prefer to do it. As far as leaving the calf with the mama, it's called calf sharing. So we're sharing the milk from the cow. And like I said, they produce more than enough for that. So as you can see, Sally knows the drill. I've been milking her for over 5 years. I don't have to do much. She sees me coming and she gets in place. She walks into the loading chute, gets into the head gate, and she's ready to go. It is typical for a cow to want to pee and poop before you get milking. They know they might be standing there for just a little bit, and they can let down their milk easier when they have, emptied their bladder and bowels. They just do that. I know they do that. I would rather her not do that when she's already in place here, but sometimes she does. A lot of times what she'll do is she'll walk around out in the front of this lot here and pee and poop, and then she will go and get in to the head gate, and she's ready to go. As you can see, she's not resisting. She's not fighting me here. I still do tie one back leg. As you can see, I keep her head in the head gate and I tie up one leg just because I would hate to have her kick my milk bucket and lose all my milk. That has happened before. One day I would love to have a milk cow that doesn't need to be secured in any fashion, and that is possible, but I just haven't had that yet. I've gotten close with my girls. I've worked with them and tried to train them so where I can just walk up to them and milk out in the pasture, but I'm just not willing to take a chance of having an entire gallon of spilled milk. So you can see here that the fencing in my milking area really needs some work. It needs to be completely replaced, and that is on our to-do list. John said that they are going to do that this spring, so I am hopeful that will happen, and then I'll have this all, looking pretty and brand new by the summer. But on the farm, you just never know. Things come up. And as of right now, this area is functional for my purposes. So it's not something that just absolutely needs to be done. And if something comes up that does need to be done, like, other fencing needs to be fixed or something, then I'm sure this will get bumped back. So I'm not totally getting my hopes up, but since he has scaled back at his day job, he does have a lot more time to work on things around the farm, so we'll see. Making the switch to natural fibers for your wardrobe can seem really intimidating, and it's definitely not cheap. But one way to simplify that process of switching to natural fibers so that what is on your body at all times is actually good for you is purchasing a Birch Living mattress. Birch Living makes all of their mattresses from organic cotton and wool. We spend over a third of our life sleeping, so this is a really simple way to make a big difference in your health by getting rid of toxic flame retardants, things like fiberglass, which most mattresses these days are made with fiberglass because it's cheap and it's easy to use as a flame retardant, but like I said, it's very toxic. So Birch Living doesn't use anything toxic in their mattresses. And this isn't just a marketing claim. They are Green Gold certified and GOTS certified. So they're third party certified that what they are saying is in their mattresses is what's actually in there. And I really love that they use wool as a flame retardant. If you know anything about wool from cloth diapering or just from looking into natural fibers for clothing, you'll know that it also has antimicrobial properties and is amazing for temperature regulation. You're never too hot, never too cold. Or like me, I always tend to be cold when I'm sleeping, and my husband is a hot sleeper, so it can be difficult to find that balance when you're sharing a bed with someone who has different preferences than you. But we have had our Birch Living Luxe mattress for 9 months now, and it's the perfect solution. My husband also has had a lot of lower back pain. He's a really tall guy and he works in construction. He sleeps so well on our Birch mattress, and he's not alone. 79% of people say that they had a reduction in lower back pain with their Birch mattress. Setup is easy with Birch Living. They ship straight to your door, and they also offer a 100-night sleep trial and a 25-year warranty. So if for some reason you try your Birch mattress and you're not happy, you can return it and receive a full refund. Right now, they have extended their Cyber Monday sale. So when you purchase a Birch Living mattress, you will get 20% off plus 2 free Eco Rest pillows. I will put my link and more details on Birch Living in the description below the video, so just tap the more button and check them out. As I mentioned, the calf is still nursing 24/7. So as you can see, she's a little bit lopsided here because I just went out and started milking her, and it looks like the calf had been nursing on that back left quarter because that was pretty dry. However, I was able to get close to a gallon of milk out of the other 3 quarters, and I could have kept going, but I'm not really milking for production right at this second. I just really wanted to get out there and milk and get some colostrum, which you'll get to see here in just a minute. It is just so rich and yellow, lots of health benefits to colostrum. You can look those up. I'm not going to go over those right now, but once again, dairy breeds just make an excess of milk, so it's not like you are taking from the calf. Milking with little ones in tow can be a bit of a challenge. You saw today that I had my toddler out with me, and he's pretty easy. He just plays and he always stays close. He's not a runner. I know that for sure he's not going to run too far away from me. He's gonna just kind of stay nearby where he can see and hear me, and he's gonna play. The baby, on the other hand, is 9 months old, and that is a different story. He is a handful. He has actually started walking, so he's taken his first few steps. He is into everything, just everywhere, and he likes to be warm in a carrier as long as I'm moving, but I found out that he doesn't really like it when I stop moving, and that includes when I'm sitting on the milking stool. The first day that I went out to milk, I just strapped into my back and got going, and a couple minutes into milking, he was not having it. He was pulling my hair, screaming, and it was actually startling Sally to where she wouldn't let down for me. So I thought, okay, this is not going to work. Now, I have a wonderful wagon that I bring out with me a lot. So that's something that I'm probably going to try, just putting him in the wagon and seeing if he will be content to play in there. But the problem there is that, like I said, he's already walking and he's into everything. He can actually almost climb out of that wagon. So he's just, like I said, a little bit of a handful. He is a tricky guy. Whereas my baby I had before him, my little Ernie, my fourth, he is more laid back, more easygoing, more content. But we will figure this out because I do have big kids. I do have my mother-in-law who lives, right across from us. So we'll figure it out. We will get through it. And, you know, by this summer, at the rate he's going, he will just be running around. So maybe I can just let him play, you know, kind of outside of where I'm milking. I don't let, this is just me personally, I do not let little ones run around when cows are around. And it actually kind of scares me when I see people doing that, because even the best trained animal is still an animal, and a cow is a huge animal, and that, you know, that could just go really wrong. So that's just not something that I do. I have some treasures to show you from a little Christmas thrift haul that I did the other day. Just stopped in with my daughter. Didn't really have anything on my agenda, but I did find some treasures, and I found some gifts, and I was once again reminded of something that I think about every time I go thrifting, which is how much money you can save when you put a little bit of extra time and effort into picking through junk at thrift shops. I know it can be more difficult to find deals depending on where you live. A lot of you comment often on my videos and say, well, there just aren't good thrift shops around me. And maybe that's true. I don't know. I live where I live, so I just know the situation here where I live. But I know that, you know, when I go to a thrift shop, sometimes I leave empty-handed. Sometimes I don't find anything. But a lot of time, every time, I have to pick through junk. If you really want to find steals, you're not going to find steals at curated vintage boutiques or vintage, you know, curated antique stores where other people have gone and picked through junk at thrift shops or at auctions, and they've curated a collection. Now they're selling for a profit. So that's not how you're going to find deals. I like shopping at those places sometimes, but when I'm looking for a steal, I am going to pass over like 99% of the things that I look at any given thrift shop just to find the one treasure. So let's get started. Let me show you what I got. I've got a sleeping baby here in the little nursery that's right off of my room. So if I'm talking kind of quiet, that's why. Okay, first of all, this half zip that I have on, very festive, I thought. So this was, I think, $7.99. It's LL Bean, so a good brand in very good shape. You know, when it comes to clothing and shoes especially, anytime that I thrift clothing or shoes, it's usually brand new. It's something that somebody bought and never wore. And you know, I've been guilty of this. I order something and I don't return it. It doesn't work out, it doesn't fit or whatever, and I don't return it in the time allotted to get a refund. So then I just have to, you know, donate it or whatever. So you can find a lot of stuff like that at thrift shops, brand new with the tags on. I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. First thing I'm gonna show you, these Boggs boots. So Boggs is a really good brand. These are brand new. They still have the tag on them. You can tell they've never been worn, and they were $12.99. So I got these for my daughter. Super cute. She was very pleased about that. I also got this for my daughter. It's a little small for me, but I would totally wear it. It's cute. I love Matilda Jane. Way back in the day when my daughter was really, really little, I loved putting her in their little dresses. So this one, once again, still has the tag on it. It's in perfect condition, and it was $10.99. A Matilda Jane sweater, brand new, probably would have been 60 bucks at least. All really good brands here. This is, I don't know if I'm gonna say this right, but it's Kalia by Carrie Underwood, I believe. So a good brand. Just a good dry fit turtleneck here. Once again, looks like it's barely been worn. This was $14.99, but it's really thick, and I got this for milking in the winter because I am a massive baby and I don't like being cold. It gets really cold when you're sitting out there milking. Okay, this sweater, I just thought this was a fun Christmassy sweater too. I'm still not sure how I feel about it. I don't know if I absolutely love it. It was $9.50, also in very good shape. Here, I'll try it on for you guys. But I don't know. I don't know if I love it. I liked it at the time. What do you guys think? Yes, no? This feels very granny-ish. You know, you all know that I'm 35. My oldest child's 13. Hoping to be a grandma like within the next decade. So that's another reason I'm just building up my collection of granny sweaters, because I got to be ready. There's just something, I don't know, I look back, and even though I didn't have a grandma in my life that was like retired and just kind of sitting in her rocking chair and knitting and making cookies and wearing sweaters. I didn't have that, but
I think we all just are like aware of that stereotypical granny, and that is what I aspire to be. So that's, like I said, I got to start working on my collection now. So I don't know if I like the sweater. Don't know if I'm gonna keep it. You guys will have to let me know. Okay, so this little wrap shawl sweater here, $8.99. Also in wonderful shape. Love this for around the house or out, I guess. I don't know. It's a little bit different than anything I would usually wear, but also very, very granny-ish, very comfy for wintertime. I realized the other day that I do not own any scarves, and it was really, really cold here for a couple of weeks. So like I said, I was going out working with the cows and really wishing I had a nice warm scarf, but like a lot of things, I just don't run and buy something new the second that I realize I need it or I would like it. I just add it to my mental list of things to look for when I go to the thrift shop, and did not disappoint. I got 3 really thick, really pretty scarves for $4.99 or maybe $4.50. I don't know if I still have the tags on any of these. I think they were $4.99 a piece. So 3 scarves for a lot less than I probably would have paid for just one. I really like this one. I have a lot of neutrals in my wardrobe, and so this perfect. It would go with most things that I own. Okay, so this is more of a, maybe like a shawl slash scarf. Wrap around. But also very classic, wintry pattern, very well made. $4.99, cannot beat it. These little Christmas mugs were $2.25 a piece, and I thought they were just adorable. I have to look up the brand because it says handcrafted in Japan. They look pretty high quality, and you know, this is something that you would pay, I don't know, maybe like 10, 12 bucks for at Target or Marshall's, and they definitely wouldn't have anything this cute. Got a little pair of baby Sperry's for $6.99. These also look like they were maybe worn a couple of times, if at all. I always look at the soles of shoes. Like I said, I usually, when it comes to shoes, I like to buy them new. Like, you know, they still have the tags on, but they're at the thrift shop. But if they look like they're very, very gently used or hardly worn, then I will make an exception. And these definitely fit that criteria, as well as these. Just a good classic nude heel for myself. They are Jessica Simpson, so that's a good brand. These were $9.99, and they're in really good shape. No scuffs or anything. They look brand new. This blanket was, and this looks like this was handmade, $7.99. And this thing's huge. I actually didn't need this, but I just could not pass it up for that price. It was so pretty, and my daughter, like I said, my daughter was with me. She loved the colors, and one thing that I do is I collect things for her. I have a cedar chest in our basement. It's like a hope chest. I don't know if you've ever heard the concept of a hope chest, but yeah, you basically just collect household items for your daughters for when they get married and start their own home in life, so they're not starting from scratch. I think that's a practice that was a lot more common in former days. Now, you know, we do bridal showers, and I think a lot of people just like to have everything brand new. But as of right now, my daughter really does like to thrift. She likes antiques. She likes a lot of the things I like. So, you know, worst case scenario, we get to that point to where she has her own home and she doesn't like any of it. She doesn't want any of it. And then that's fine, then I have it and I can do something else with it. But if she does continue to like these things, then she will have lots of valuable, handmade, vintage items and the memories that go along with them from all the times that she and I have gone out thrifting and collected treasures. So I think this is the last thing I have to show you guys. These cotton blankets. These are 100% cotton. There are 4 of them. They were $7.99 each. Now these are totally grandma core, 100%. Like everyone, I feel like it's just another one of those stereotypical grandma things. Like this is what you think of when you think of grandma's house at Christmas. It is one of these cotton, really soft Christmas blankets. like I said, I got 4 of them. So I have 5 kids. I already had one, so I own 5 total now. And I'm going to let each of my children pick one out, and this will be just another thing that I save for them when I pack my Christmas stuff away every year, and then, you know, when they go out on their own, they will have one.
I had cut way back on baking there for a while I was, you know, in the thick of healing my gut, but now that I am milling my own grains and able to tolerate that really well, and now that I have my raw dairy again, and, you know, I'm kind of staying on it with my Azure standard orders, making sure that I have top-notch ingredients, I am doing more baking, getting back into the baking, and I'm tolerating that really well. So here I had some long fermented sourdough cookie dough. These were sourdough s'mores cookies, and they were absolutely delicious. I milled the grain. This is einkorn. And then, you know, used my sourdough starter, let the dough cold ferment for several days. I think like maybe 3 or 4 days in the fridge before I got it out and baked these cookies. Just fabulous. So this recipe will be on the blog for you guys. It's been a while since I have put a new recipe up, but that's just because of the personal season that I've been in with, you know, kind of eating more plain foods so that I could continue to focus on healing. But I'm excited to get back into it, kind of get back into being creative in the kitchen, coming up with new recipes, and then sharing them with you all. So ancient grains, in my opinion, work really well for cookies and like quick breads, you know, banana breads. You're not going to get the same rise in a loaf of bread. You're not going to get like a big fluffy loaf of bread with an ancient grain, but they can still be used in so many other ways that, in my opinion, you know, it's just as good. I got off track for a little bit on gut healing with eating my, you know, long fermented yogurt and like making my soups, because we had gone out of town a couple months back, and I really felt it. I felt like I just took 10 steps backward. It really, you know, just reiterated how important all of these things had been in the healing process. So I'm, you know, back on the wagon, doing all the things that I need to do to stay healthy. You know, I think about people I know in my life who live like a very rough life. You know, they drink very heavily, smoke, and eat, you know, like McDonald's all the time, and they just seem to have like so much energy because they're constantly out and partying and doing all these things. I'm like, how do you do it? How do you do it? Here I am like doing all the things, and if I do one thing wrong, it takes me down for a week. It's just crazy to me.
I am making a batch of Lactobacillus reuteri yogurt, and if that sounds completely foreign to you, you're gonna have to go back and watch my videos on gut healing and targeted fermentation. I have a few of them and I'll link them for you guys. I also have the recipe for this yogurt on my blog, a few different ways. So essentially, it's just fermenting specific strains of bacteria that are beneficial for the gut in a dairy medium. I'm using half and half. I'm long fermenting it to allow the CFUs to increase to an amount that is actually going to be helpful, beneficial. This is something I've been doing for several months, so I already have a starter culture going. It's just, this is whey, cultured whey from my last batch of this yogurt. And so I added a couple of tablespoons of this into my big glass bowl, a couple tablespoons of inulin powder, which will really help thicken it up. And then I'm gonna add the half and half and then just let it ferment for 36 hours in my proofer. So it's really simple. And this has been one of the most effective things that I have done for gut healing. I got this recipe from Dr. William Davis's book, Super Gut. I don't agree with everything in the book, but it was such a great read. If you're someone who, if you think that gut healing might be in order, or that gut issues are maybe some of the root causes of some of your other issues, then I would definitely recommend reading this book. And I am personally of the opinion that gut issues are probably at the root of like 99% of our problems. In his book, Dr. Davis said that we are going to be moving out of the age of pharmaceuticals and into the age of really sophisticated targeted probiotics and gut healing. And that excites me so much, because that's really just a fancy way of saying what all of our ancestors for all of times knew. It's that, you know, fermenting things and ingesting those healthy bacteria keeps you healthy. In fact, I was just reading in a book a really interesting story about Genghis Khan. He and his warriors were able to be so effective in their conquests and stay healthy because of their diet when they were, you know, out on these conquests. And what it was fermented mare's milk. So their wives, before they would go out on conquest, would actually, they drank horse milk. And so their wives would dehydrate, I guess, you know, just by laying it out in the sun. Back then, I guess that's the only way that this would have been possible. But they would dehydrate the mare's milk into powder and then send it along with their husbands on their conquest. And every day, at the beginning of the day, they would add some of this milk powder into a pouch with a little bit of water, and by the end of the day it would have fermented into kind of like a kefir or a yogurt, and this made up the bulk of their diet. So it kept them healthy, it was quick, it was convenient, they didn't have to stop to look for food or stop to cook food. And so I don't personally have any plans of going on any Genghis Khan style conquests anytime in the future, but you know, it's just so fascinating to me to see that all throughout history humans have figured this out, right? We figured out that natural ways of preserving and preparing food, like fermentation, it's actually really healthy for us. And I would even go so far as to say it's essential to maintain good gut health. So that's essentially what I'm doing here. I didn't go out and milk a mare and dehydrate mare's milk, and I'm not going on any conquests, but I am healing my gut. Like I've told you guys before, I'm down 20 pounds below my pre-pregnancy weight. I've seen a lot of my autoimmune systems disappear.
I said systems, but I meant symptoms. I do that a lot. I don't know, is that dyslexia? Is that just being distracted because there's always babies in the background? Or maybe that's part of the brain fog, the mom brain? I don't know. I don't know what that is, but I've always done that. I mix up my words. I'm actually a much better writer than I am speaker. It's not easy for me. It's easy for me to talk because I like to talk, especially when I get going on a, niche topic. But it's not easy for me to talk well. I feel like I don't articulate myself very well. In fact, I don't really like watching or listening to my videos because it kind of makes me cringe when I hear myself say like or mix up what words I'm trying to say. I'm just a much better writer. But it takes time. Writing takes time. That's something that I really enjoy. I have been told that I should do a Substack, and I don't know, maybe I will do that in the future. If you've followed me on Instagram at any point, then you've seen my writing. That's something that I really enjoy doing, just picking a topic, and I write a lot about that. And, the cool thing about that is if I did a Substack, I could just read it in podcast form and publish it that way too. But that is a project that will just have to wait for a season when I have more time. All right, well, that wraps up this week's video. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next week.